This is Chris Cicchinelli. Welcome to HIT, High Intensity Tactics for Growth. Happy New Year to everybody. We are 2020, and today is going to be exciting. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm super excited to be able to share some great information on how to make the most out of 2020. It's kind of awesome to kind of see this much excitement for a brand new year, not just a brand new year, but a brand new decade. It would be crazy if everybody kind of stuck like this for the entire 365 days, but I know that that's impossible because most people after about, 30 days, all of a sudden the year starts kicking in or starts kicking them in the ass, one of the two. And here's the thing, I'm not about that. I'm not about just having 1 month of feeling really good about a year and having 11 months feeling like shit about a year. That's not how you grow a business. That's not how you get the most out of it. That's not how you actually win in a brand new decade, right? This is, Tony Robbins says we always kind of overestimate what we can get done in 1 year and underestimate what we can get done in a decade. Like right now, we should be thinking about what exactly is it that we want to get? How do you win? How do you make the most out of 2020? That's the big thing that we should all be thinking about. We're all business owners. We're all people that are trying to drive something new. So let's make sure we have that mindset that is wrapped around getting the most out of this year, getting the most to set the first year of this decade up for a massive amount of success. So here's what I was talking to my team the other day. I said, there's 5 ways, right? 5 ways that you can make the most out of 2020. And I know that if you're listening right now and you're driving, don't worry, you don't have to write them down. I'll make sure we post this somewhere for you to be able to take a look at because, look, there's a lot of you that are in the cars. There's a lot of you that are, working out when you're listening to this. A lot of you that are, doing whatever it might be. You might be doing something at your office. And you're sitting back there going, you know what? I loved what I get from this because I'm able to really think about how to grow a business. Well, can I tell you, make this year something that you're going to listen to some of the stuff you're going to put in play because the more you put something in play, the more repetition you have about the things that you have. Repetition is the mother of learning. It's the mother of learning. Action's the accomplishment, all right? The father of accomplishment. That is the cool part about what we do here at HIT. This is huge. 5 ways to make the most out of 2020, right? All right, number 1 is this. You got to prioritize your goals and you got to prioritize your thoughts. There are so many things that are running around in your head. I feel like there's a bunch of squirrels sometimes up in mine where I've got so many ideas, so many options, so many things that are in front of me. And I need to sometimes put it down on paper. If you're looking at me, and you're watching this on YouTube right now, you're probably seeing I write a whole bunch of stuff down because if I don't write it down, I start forgetting about it. But what I find is I start having all of these lists going, all of these things that are happening. And what I was getting myself into is I was creating all of these lists, but I was not being able to prioritize what was the most important thing on these pieces of paper until I prioritized my goals of what I wanted to get accomplished. So that meant this. If I wanted to accomplish, building a $250 million business, well, I need to make sure that the things I'm putting on this list, the prioritization that I'm putting on these pieces, are they going to help me get to that $250 million number? Are they going to help me get to what it is that my final outcome of the month, the week, the year might be? That's the most important thing that I see with this. And it's important that you are really prioritizing your thoughts, prioritizing those goals, because if you have a bunch of tasks that are on a piece of paper with no outcome, what do you get into? That's a problem that I see with a lot of people. A lot of people just got so much on their plates that they constantly keep making lists and more lists. And none of the lists that they have actually go to the outcome that they're trying to get to. They just got a bunch of shit on their paper. That's not what you want to have. 5 ways to make the most out of 2020. You got to prioritize. What is it? What is it that you're really going to get accomplished? So if you need to pause me right now and write it down. I don't care. Write it down. Put it on your phone. Put it on a piece of paper. Put it on the back of a napkin. Put it on whatever you find in front of you to figure out exactly what it is that you want to get accomplished, and making sure that everything that you're doing that you have on your task list get prioritized to help you achieve that end result that you're looking for. Second thing is this. You got to look at this. You got to change. You got to approach challenges and obstacles and opportunities with a positive attitude. I mean, listen, I was working with this woman, Sandra, and Sandra was telling me she's kind of like a performance coach. And Sandra and I were sitting down, and she goes, look, you don't have problems, Chris. You just have challenges. And I'm like, no, I have problems. She goes, no, see, here's the deal. Problems are something that for other people to have, not for high-flying business leaders, not for executives, because here's the thing. Problems have a negative connotation. Challenges are what happens every Saturday and Sunday. And I said, what do you mean? Well, challenges. Think about the challenge that happens on a football field. There's two teams competing against each other. They're challenging each other to who's going to win, who's going to lose. You know, if you think about a baseball game, or if you think about a basketball game, these are challenges. You're used to playing sports. You're used to having these things come up. They're obstacles. Things are going to get in your way. How do you get around an obstacle? There might be a detour path that you're going to take. But ultimately, the thing that you have to do, challenges or obstacles or whatever, you have to go into this with that a positive outcome. You got to come in with that a positive attitude, approach around what you want to get accomplished, because they're going to come up. I hear so many people that have these, what they have is problems. Normal people have problems, not people listening to HIT. People listening to HIT, they just have challenges. That's it, challenges. And we can win a challenge. We can overcome a challenge. We can get through an obstacle. You know, it goes back to kind of what Brene Brown said in her book, right? Dare to Lead. It's like, listen, you got to get in the arena every day, and you got to compete, right? Even when you don't know the outcome, you still got to get in there and you got to compete every freaking day. Every day you compete. You don't know what you're going to win, you're going to lose, but if you go into the arena with a positive outcome or a positive outlook, your outcome could be something of success, something of, hey, I can learn something from what I'm going through right now. But how do we approach that? Because if we approach it with positivity, man, there are so many opportunities around us. But when we're in our own pile of, BS, and we can't see through the things that are around us, and we don't see the opportunities because all we're focusing in is ourselves, because our attitude's a piss poor attitude, that's not going to get you what you want. Yeah, it's not going to get you what you want. In 2020, this new decade, the first year of a new decade, man, make it that you're going to go into this with a positive attitude. You hear this all the time, right? You probably tell your kids to have positive attitudes. Why don't you start taking your own medicine that you're dishing out? Schedule some time for the process, man. You hear this all the time. If you've been listening to me, we're on show like 70. I don't even know anymore. But I say this: commit to the process, detach from the outcome. Commit to the process, detach from the outcome. Commit to the process, detach from the outcome. And I'm so glad that when I talk to people, they're starting to schedule time for the process, okay? Commit to the process, which means that pick up the phone, make time for sales calls meetings, making time for sitting down and talking about the business opportunity, scheduling time for the process. The process is the practice. It's the repetition that's going to get you what you want. But so many people just like to play the game. They just like the outcome. They just like the big, the thrill, the big deal, the big kill, the big whatever it might be. But nobody schedules time to practice to improve themselves. Like, if you want the most out of the 2020, how do you get that time and schedule it so you actually have a better chance, a better opportunity for success when you're able to have repetition? Somebody asked me the other day, what's the secret of the business? What's the secret of, building an organization to what we build it to? And I'm like, look, to be honest with you, it's making sure that you come up with a process, you stick to that process, and you practice that process over and over and over and over again. So it is so repetitive. The greatest companies schedule time for processes. You got to schedule time for those processes that are going to make you money, those processes that are going to lead to the outcome, the goals that you're looking for. Number 4, need to refuse to quit, refuse to stay in the same spot. Okay, refuse to quit. Don't give up. I mean, it's too easy anymore. If you don't get your way, you don't get what you're looking for in the first 30 seconds, 30 minutes, 30 days, everybody wants to throw in the towel. And that's what I see. How do you ever get anything in life by just going and playing for 30 minutes, 30 seconds, 30 hours, 30 months? It's insane to me why we think everything needs to come so fast. Is it because everybody's so used to Amazon Prime and it comes right when you order it 30 minutes later? Well, that's not the real world. That's not the real world. You got to understand that you got to refuse to give up on something. That's like you have, if anybody's in a relationship or a marriage or, whatever, or friendship, do you just quit because it's hard? You quit? Do you just give up because, it's too hard to work through? It's too hard to do that. Now, I understand there's going to be times in people's relationship where it's just, after they've given it every valiant effort, every valiant opportunity to see it get better. Yeah. Okay, fine. I understand. Then you got to throw in the towel. But to quit too early, I see too many people give up before they get going. It's epidemic that I'm seeing right now, because too many people just want it to be, they don't want to go through those challenges, those pain points they're going to go to make sure that on the other side is that excitement, that opportunity, that success that they're all looking for. You got to also refuse to stay in the same spot. Like when I talk to salespeople in business, and if they sold $100,000 last year and they're like, man, I'm looking to, sell $100,000 this year. I'm like, are you kidding me? Why do you want to stay in the same spot? There's such a better view that the higher you get on the mountain, the bigger that your team gets, the more that it's growth, because it challenges you. Can you go out there and sell 120? Can you build $1 million team to a $1.2 million team? What is it that you can do? Why stay in the same spot? Why do we have such less expectations for ourselves? Like, we need to challenge ourselves to have bigger aspirations, bigger goals, to constantly keep growing. Like, I want people not just to grow financially, but how do you also not stay in the same spot academically? How do you not stay in the same spot by understanding socioeconomics that are going on? How do you stay in the same spot by, you see all this political stuff going around you, but you don't have any nonsense. You don't have any reason to learn it, right? You're like, I don't really care. Well, when will you care? When it affects you? That's when most people care. Because we only do things if there's pleasure or pain around it. Most people, they will change when there's pain because they have to. That's where most of them do it. But if you're really going to go into 2020, let's not look at this and say, hey, look, let's stay in that same spot. No. Grow, develop. I was sitting there challenging my board the other day, and I challenged my rise and grinders, and I said the same thing. I'm like, man, how do we grow this mind? The average CEO is reading 60 books. I'm not saying everybody on this has to read 60 books, but what about start out with a book a month? A book that's going to help us develop, a book that's going to, challenge us. Maybe you have things that you like to read, like, okay, great, you like to read books around, made up characters, or you like to read books about sci-fi or whatever. That's cool. Do your thing. But how do you add some books that are, maybe biographies, or how do you add a book in there that's a business book, or something that's going to help you from understanding, the history of our country? How do you grow your mindset? How do you grow your knowledge base? Don't stay in the same spot. And the last thing is this: you got to be honest with yourself. Number 5, be honest. Make this year a year that you're, if you find yourself giving excuses and you find yourself not giving efforts, be honest with yourself. Say, geez, Chris, hey, quit giving yourself that bullshit excuse. Quit feeling sorry for yourself, Chris. Quit doing this. Nobody likes me attitude. No. Be honest with yourself. Be honest that, that you're not trying to compare yourself to somebody else. I don't want to do that anymore. Be honest with yourself that you are you. You're going to grow. You're going to prioritize your thoughts. You're going to go with a positive attitude. You're going to schedule time for the process. You're going to be honest with yourself that saying, hey, if I'm going to put the work in, I should get those outcomes if I'm doing the hard work. But also be honest with yourself that you shouldn't get the outcomes if you're not doing anything. That's not how it works, man. So be honest. What you put in is what you're going to get out. And if you put more in, ultimately you're going to get more out. Now, it might not happen in the time frame that you want it in. It might not happen as quickly as you want it. But then you have to be honest with yourself. Oh man, Christian's only been 60 days. Come on, be real, man. Give yourself some more time. It's only been 6 months. You're 6 months into building an organization, a business. It's going to take some time. It's 8 months, man. Well, we're going to have our ups and downs. We're still learning. We're still growing. We're still developing. Have those honest conversations with yourself. Have the honest dialogue. How do you really make the most out of the 2020? Here's exactly the 5 ways. Prioritize your thoughts, right? Change your, make sure that you have that positive attitude. Schedule some time for the process. Refuse to quit. Refuse to stay in the same spot. And be honest with yourself. This is HIT. That's what we talk about. We talk about high intensity tactic for growth. This isn't some, other podcast that's out there giving you some kind of information that's not been done before. We're a podcast that's taken a company from $1 million to $250 million. And I say we're because there's so many people that have been part of this journey, part of this, awesome steps that we've made to go out there and be a leader in what it is that we do. It hasn't been easy, hasn't been simple. But we have to understand this. We live life by design each and every day. And we're going to continue to do that for 2020 and for the next decade. Thanks so much for tuning in to Hit today. Thanks so much for starting off your brand new year. Thanks so much for going out there and being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, being a leader, and being a voice of change inside of this world that we live in. Thanks so much. Have a great day.